What's good, everybody? New Never You BGM back in this thing, and it is that time again. Time to talk about the next set for Final Fantasy TCG, Opus 28, or if you're nasty, Dreamlike Oceans. So we're gonna start it off with Earth. Try to keep this pretty quick because there's a lot of elements, and I'm gonna break them up by videos by element. So let's do it. Arciella, 3-cost backup, Red Mage. When a category 11 forward of cost 6 or more enters the field, you may put her into the break zone. When you do so, choose one character your opponent controls breaks it. So this is very situational. You do lose a backup, and you essentially people say you're paying 9, but I mean, if you got 4, 5 backups already, and you have the one that can play itself for free in hand, I mean, you could technically do a nice little combo, and there's no telling what kind of 11 fours that they're going to be making that will benefit off something going to the break zone. So as of right now, I don't see this being crazy, but I mean, you kind of never know. So Dark Knight, 2 costs backup, dull it, put it into the break zone, choose one duel forward, break it. You can only use this if you have 5 backups. So this is pretty cool. I mean, it's utility at 5 backups. I mean, you play it early game and you keep building backups, and if you need to break a backup, this one you can break it or put it in the break zone rather. You can break something and free up a backup zone in the event you need to play another backup. So this one's pretty nice. I mean, I like it. I think it's pretty good, all things considered. Angeal is a 3-cost soldier from 7. Abilities of your opponent must choose Angeal if possible. When Angeal is put from the field into the break zone, you may remove Angeal from the game. When you do so, choose one forward. It gains 3k, and this 3k does not go away. So this is pretty cool because if you're playing a soldier deck, or really any deck that's running potentially something that can play this gentleman, if he blocks and goes to the break zone, he gives something 3k on his way out. And it's also a lightning rod effect, so if you're playing something that needs to be protected, this also semi-protects it. So he is a good card for sure. Angeal has a lot of good cards, which is the problem. And Angeal, I don't think, has any cards that have S abilities, maybe one. All in all, though, I mean, I think it's a good addition to Angeal, to soldiers, and I think it's also a good addition to Earth, or anything that can run Earth. If you were to do the Viking deck, I think this would be a good card to add to the Viking deck, because those Vikings just get eradicated. So putting Vikings out, this guy out, and the Warrior of Light out, I think you got a pretty solid build there. Wilk, I have no idea who this is, but he is an EX Burst, 3-cost forward warrior of the crystals from FFBE. When he enters the field, choose one forward your opponent controls, deal it 4k, and then deal it 4k for each crystal you have. And then when he attacks, he gains 1,000 for each crystal you have until the end of the turn. This one's pretty good. Oh man, so the EX burst happens. Oh man, so if you're building a crystal deck, 2 crystals minimum, typically blowing up something. And then you could just play another one to, yeah, this is wild. This is actually pretty good. Man, yeah, that's good. And when he attacks, he gets a boost. Now, granted, he is below the 8k minimum, so I mean, he's Amaterasu, a bull, but you know, so is everything, and so is Kukulane, so is everything. But yeah, I think this is pretty good. I mean, I definitely see this in a crystal deck, obviously, and yeah, I think this would go well. And if you build like a crystal variant of Final Fantasy 15, I think this would also be a pretty good addition to that deck. Vincent, EX Burst, 7 cost, Gunslinger from 7, 8k. When he enters the field, choose one duel forward, break it, gain a crystal. Pay a crystal, he gets first strike until the end of the turn. I don't know why they keep giving Vincent the just terrible iterations of cards. I mean, this would have been fine if it was a 4 or below, maybe even a 3, but a 7? I don't understand why he's always 7, 5, like some odd stupid number. I just like he's one of the strongest people in Final Fantasy VII, but in the card game, it's just like, nah, we can't make him that strong. This is good for EX burst, I guess, but not to play. I mean, if you could somehow play him for free, this is fine. But typically, Vincent has first strike anyway. But yeah, I'm not vibing with this at all. Kieran, 6 cost. Job is Kieran from 11. 9k forward. When Kieran enters the field, you may remove 4 forwards of cost 4, each of a different element in your break zone from the game. When you do so, break all the forwards your opponent controls. This works with Arciella, but if you're doing the effect, then you don't really need to do Arciella. And if you're doing this, you're probably playing they have to all be 4 and be forwards. I mean, that's possible, that's doable. I mean, this is all right, and it's a lot though. I mean, if you could pay with 3 different elements to play him, that's 3 of the 4. Just kind of thinking out loud, like how I would navigate this. I don't know if I would. Alright, next up is 2 cost summon Cactuar. Select up to 2 following actions. If you select 2 actions, the cost required to cast Cactuar is increased by 1 crystal. Choose 1 forward. If it is entered the field other than from a player's hand this turn, break it. Choose 1 forward. It gains this forward cannot attack or block until the end of the turn. Draw a card. These effects are pretty good. I think all of these are going to be pretty good, these crystal summons. This one's good because, I mean, it breaks something that entered the field, like from the limit break, break zone, deck, anything like that. Then if you're like going for game or going for pretty much last couple points of damage, you can choose a forward that would block and make it so it's not able to block, and then draw a card. So essentially pays for himself if he's not even free. So I mean, there's some ways to make this thing free, but that's a pretty good card, pretty good hero. Sid Polidina, I think I said that right. That's a nice full art. 3 cost backup engineer from Final Fantasy IV. When he enters the field, you may search for any category 4 forward and add it to your hand. So pretty much what he did in Wind, he is now on the Earth variant. This is going to be pretty good because 4 got a lot of good, or has a lot of good forwards, but in this set they got a nice set of water and earth ones, I believe, and even lightning if you want to go that route. So pretty good card, pretty great full art actually. I like that little feather. That's a nice touch. White Mage, 2 cost backup, standard unit, Final Fantasy XIV. When White Mage enters the field, you may pay a crystal. When you do so, choose 1 forward in your break zone, add it to your hand. This is a forward with 4k power. This is pretty good. I mean, it's essentially Kusith with attack. You do have to pay a crystal, but you do get to choose a forward in the break zone, add it to your hand, and it does allow for this thing to attack. So all in all, this is pretty good. I mean, it's kind of like a last resort type of thing, but it also is a forward, so it also guards for protection and as much crystal generation as this set has, plus with Emissaries of Light and a few other sets. I don't see this not being played if you're not playing crystals, unless you just have a different motive going forward. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name, but he's from 11, costs 5, backup. Elder is the job. When he enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add up to 2 category 11 cards among them, and then put the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. Cards like this generally cost 5 or 5, 4, 6, or 7. So with this costing as much as it costs, this isn't a surprise to me. But it is from 11. The art is nice. The cloud, the dandelions, the flowers. The art is really nice. For it to be a common, this is pretty decent. I don't expect for this full art to be expensive unless 11 gets some outstandishly crazy cards and becomes its own thing. So if you are a full art collector like myself, I would get these as soon as they hit $2-3 and keep them and sell them if you want. But if you don't want them, give them to me. Flowering Cactoid. 2 costs, cactus, monster with 6k power. Moogle board game is where this thing is from. For 0 cost action ability until the end of the turn, it also becomes a forward with 6k power and cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities. I'm sorry, can't be chosen by summons or abilities, period. You can only use this ability once per turn. Add damage 5 at the end of each of your turns. You can put them into the break zone. When you do so, choose a forward, deal it 10k. That's pretty good. 10k is insane. Especially if you attack with it, get damage in. Then at the end of the turn, you can just knock something off for 10k. So it's like a double-edged sword. Makes sense because it's a cactois. So yeah, pretty nice. Prish is 6 drop 9k forward, abhorrent 1 or monk. It's the job. From 11, before paying the cost of Prish, you can remove 1 card named Prish in your break zone from the game to reduce the cost to cast Prish by 5. When Prish enters the field, choose 1 forward your opponent controls. Prish and that forward deal damage to each other equal to their power. Was it Psychoanima is the special ability. Prish cannot be broken until the end of the turn. So I like that ability because if you have a bunch of different forwards on the field and they have like 6 that they're gonna attack with and they have no way of dulling her, you can just do the Psychoanima and then just block all of them with that 1 Prish and be, I ain't gonna say solid, but you got somewhat a time of a turn to live. But this art is nice. Prish typically always has nice art. Anything with flowers and birds, like I'm always a fan of. So I definitely want to get 3 copies of this full art. Mira, 2 costs, forward 5k, Dark Lord, FFTCG. When Mira enters the field, select one of the following 2 actions. Play a monster of cost 4 or less from your hand onto the field, or reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 monster among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of the deck in any order. Both of these are good, especially since Realm will be banned next week. As of recording this video, she will be banned on the 27th of March 2026. So this doesn't really replace her, but it helps add to what she's going to need to get done. There are other realms that get monsters and stuff, but there are no realms on that level that did that. So this could help, but the other mirror is actually pretty good, the Earth one. So with the lack of special abilities on cards now, it's kind of difficult to even determine what to play sometimes, but this is a good contender to add in the event that you do want to add it to your Earth whatever monster deck. Yang Yang, Gang Gang. Alright, he is a monk. 3 drop or 3 cost if you're nasty. 9k forward from 4. You can only pay with CP produced by backups to cast him, but you can play him for free without using any backups. When Yang enters the field, you may discard any number of cards. When you do so, choose up to the same number of forwards your opponent controls as the discarded cards, deals them 9k. That is insane, especially if they ever make cards that get abilities by being discarded. Black mages count, but they don't count in the effect that if he's doing 9k, an extra 4 probably ain't doing nothing. But if they make some cards that when this card is discarded, draw a card, then this card is going to be insane. So I do not see him being expensive as a full art, maybe $5-6. But in the event that what I just said happens, I would make sure that I have some copies of this. Rydia. There's going to be 2. This is the younger version. She is a 5 cost, 5k summoner from 4 forward. During your opponent's turn, all the forwards you control gain 2k power. And her action ability costs 0. Choose 1 category 4 forward you control. Rydia and it gain. This forward cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities until the end of your opponent's turn. You can only use this ability during your turn and only once per turn. That card is really good. Just off of the the field ability, all your forwards get 2k during your opponent's turn. That alone protects a lot of things and gives you a lot of leverage to guard against a lot of power. And things like Prish, that would be 11,000. Warrior Light would be 12. Light Warrior Light would be 9. I mean, there's so many different things here that are good. It's great for 4, but it's also good for any other deck that's just needing a boost in power. So yeah, this Rydia is pretty nice. All right, this Rydia is a hero, and she costs 2 from 4 summoner, 4,000 power forward. When she enters the field, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, add a category 4 among them to your hand, and return the other one to the bottom of the deck. Then her action ability is dull her. Put Rydia into the break zone, choose a category 4 forward. It gains 2k power to the end of the turn. So obviously the other one is better theoretically than this one. And as you can see, neither of them have an S ability. So it just makes it difficult to justify playing multiple copies of things sometimes when they don't have an S ability. But these things excuse me, these things do 2 different things for 2 different reasons, so I'm not gonna hold it against that. I don't play 4, so it doesn't really matter to me, but I do like the art of both, and just based off that, I want the full arts. But for 4 players, I could see how this is beneficial, because if you need time to get the other one out, you still have this one, and you can dig deeper in your deck and try to build some resources in hand. I mean, she pays for herself if you use backups, and then if you pitch a card, she still pays for herself, considering the effect goes off. But all in all, pretty solid. Riku, 5 costs, 8,000 forward from 10, gold wings and white mage job. When Riku enters the field, choose 1 category 10 forward of 2 or less in your break zone. You may play it onto the field. If you do so, Riku deals you a point of damage. Riku typically has pretty good cards. There's very few Riku cards that are bad. There's one that's banned, so that tells you a lot right there. But this is pretty good because there's a gold wing deck, and this card lets you play any category 2, category 10 forward, as long as it's 2 or less. I know Waka is a 2. There's a 2 Yuna. I think Lulu's 2. She's either 2 or 3. There's not 2. There's a Pain that's 2. So this is good, but I mean, I don't know how people feel about taking a point of damage for certain things. So I guess it depends on the climate of the field. But so far, I mean, the effect is fine. It just depends on the situation. And I mean, you play it, get something for free, and then you get another card potentially, or cards. So it's also kind of future proofs a lot of things. So if they make more 10 forwards that are cost 2 or less, then I mean, that also benefits them as well. So Lilty. Backup 2-drop. When it enters the field, gain a crystal. 1 Earth CP and Dole. Put it into the break zone, gain a crystal. Pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I really need to cover that. And the last Earth card is Leo. 3-drop. 7k forward. Crystal Bearer. Has 2 categories. If he is dealt damage, the damage becomes 0, and then action ability, pay 1 of any element. Leo gains. Leo cannot block until the end of this turn. Each player can use this ability. I mean, I could see someone paying 1 so he can't block. That's a pretty funny card though, because he's dealt damage, the damage becomes 0. That's pretty strong effect on something that can, you know, gains the ability. It's just funny. I expect to see this just for the sake of seeing it. Just because if people are attacking, they have 1 card in hand, they've exhausted all their CP for whatever reason. They have to get rid of that card to use this ability, or just risk attacking for nothing, or leave all their forwards up. Either way, this is pretty funny. But yeah, this is Earth, and see you in the next video for the other elements. Peace.